Moshe is on a Muncie next the book, but the second week there, and the 14th of Shai is here. Nicht of Shabbos, nein. You guys out there, you speak Yiddish? In Muncie, there's a in New York, in Muncie, behind the chair, there's a book on the bottom shelf. So there's a whole Satmar Chaver that I've been going to. There's this Satmar guy, kennst du him? Zalman, they have a shtibel on a street that starts with a P in Williamsburg. Penn Street, 66 Penn. Is someone been there? So there's, I do a whole Shlomo Carlebach for bringing in Yiddish with them.
In Muncie?
But they said, no, but this time it's going to be in Muncie.
It's
better than yesterday.
Muncie seems to be
better than yesterday. Let's go. We're starting. It's page 65. Emunah Pnimit. Emunah Pnimit, pour one for Shai, please. ויאמר אלוקים לנוח קץ כל בשר בא לפניי כי מלאה הארץ חמס for Shai. Hashem said to Noach, the end of all flesh has come before me. In other words, the time has come to finalize the judgment on them. Because the community is full of Hamas, full of violent robbery. And I'm going to destroy them together with the surface of the earth.
How do you know that Hamas means robbery? Because it just says violent. I would have thought
it's violent robbery. Rashi, I know from Rashi. So Hashem amar Noach shehu amed lashchit et haaretz. Hashem said to Noach that he's about to destroy the earth. But it didn't bring Noach to pray. Mefarshim shoalim, the commentaries ask, Harei Avraham Avinu hitpalel afilu al ha'ir hamushchetet Sodom. Avraham Avinu prayed for that corrupt city Sodom. So then how could it be Shenoach lo hitpalel al kol ha'olam? Hashem wanted to destroy one city, and Avraham Avinu wouldn't accept it just like that. And Hashem now says to Noach, he's going to destroy the whole world, and Noach doesn't say anything. So how could that be? But Shuvah Pshuta, the simple answer is, Rashi tells us, Af Noach miktanei emunah haya. Noach was also, as much as, even though the Torah says he was a tzaddik, he was of a lower level of faith. Ma'amin ve'eno ma'amin. He believed and he didn't believe. So Reb Shlomo asks the question which everybody asks: Aval eich yitachen? How could it be? Eich yachol Rashi lomar al Noach shehu shaya ma'amin ve'eno ma'amin? How could Rashi say that Noach believed and he didn't believe? בשעה שהפסוק מעיד עליו במפורש, איש צדיק תמים היה. When the Torah is telling us clearly at the beginning of the Parshat, it says that Noach was a tzaddik, a complete tzaddik. And what does it mean, believe and not believe? Like, when you say that, let's say, for example, you say, oh, I know this person, he believes and he doesn't believe. It means one day believes, one day doesn't believe. You know what I mean? But if somebody's a tzaddik, what do you mean he believes and he doesn't believe? So if someone says, "Tiftachu et sharei halev," open the gate to your heart. You can put your foot on this chair if you want. I'm just telling you it's there for you. So
It doesn't say believe in what or who.
we're talking about Hashem.
Could be himself, his ability to do what Hashem wants him to do.
That's where Shlomo is going.
Oh.
Take out another book. No, just say hi. Come sit down. Take out another book. What's your name?
Eliza.
Hi, Eliza.
Nice meeting you.
Shalom. Here's a cup if you want water.
Thank you.
So he says, we're on page 65. We're right over here.
Amazing. And I'm going to be taking notes on my phone, just so you know.
Fine with you.
Thank you so much.
So Tiftachu et sharei halev, he says, open the gates of your heart. The question is, how come Noach didn't pray to save the world? Okay. Rashi says that he was a man of a lower level of faith. He believed and he didn't believe. The question is, what do you mean he believed and he didn't believe? The Torah tells us that he was a complete tzaddik. So Shlomo says, Tiftachu et sharei halev. Noach ha'amin b'Hashem. Noach believed in God, aval hu lo ha'amin she'Hashem ma'amin bo. But he didn't believe that God believes in him. Lo ha'amin she'yesh lo ha'koach lageshet el adam rasha u'lishanot oto. He didn't believe that he has the power to approach a wicked person and change him. Let's say I go over to a Jew who's not keeping Shabbos and I say to him, I want to speak with you, by any chance you have a few minutes time? The Seder, Ma'atarot says, he says, okay, what do you want? And then I'll say to him again, you sure you have time? Came, Ma, yes, what do you want? I say to him, is it possible, would you possibly be interested in considering keeping Shabbos? Kamuvan, obviously, but I'm not going to achieve anything in that way. Gam Noach Poel Kach. That's how Noach was working. He's building an ark. But he doesn't even believe in himself. When he approaches a person, he suggests to him the hisus, sort of like in a faltering way, that's not exactly the word I'm looking for, but an unsure, insecure way. Maybe you want to do tshuva? I heard that there's this whole movement of people doing tshuva. Maybe you would like to join the movement. Okay?
This is not the way to approach people.
That's what Reb Shlomo was saying. This is not the way. Right? But Avraham Avinu said, Avraham Avinu said, I myself want to go to Stom, I want to be in the city, I'm ready to move there, and I will turn the whole place over. So גם אנחנו מוכרחים, page 66, גם אנחנו מוכרחים לעבור לתוך העולם. In other words, so the lesson from Avraham Avinu is that we have to go out into the world. לא באמצעות כלי נשק, not with weapons, although neshek is also, by the way, an abbreviation for Negot Shabbat Kodesh. You know, when the Chabad women hand out Shabbos candles to women all over the world to light Shabbos candles, they say this is our neshek, this is our weapon, you know, Shabbos candles.
So when a frum woman is going somewhere and wants to go in the building, and the Arab Shomer says that
Yesh lach neshek, yeah,
yes.
absolutely. So, lo be'emtzeut klei neshek, we don't go out into the world with weapons, but lo b'diborei politikaim, and also not with political talks. Anachnu muchachim likanes el hatoch. We have to go to the inside, el hapnimiyut shel ha'olam, to the inner dimension of the world. Li ze barur, to me it's clear, mi she'inenu mamin shafilu ha'yehudi hachi shafel ba'olam yachol lahavi et ha'geula. It's clear to me that someone who doesn't believe that even the lowest Jew, the most lowly Jew in the world, can bring the redemption, gam hu bebaya kasha. He too, this person who doesn't believe that, is also living in a difficult problem. Mipnei she'olam incha yodea, because you never know. What do I know about another person? There's a teaching from Reb Shlomo. I actually had it in last week's Parshat meeting. He says, what does it mean to believe that we're created in the image of God? So he brings a bunch of different answers in different places, but basically he says, what do you know about God? You don't really know very much about God, right? Whatever you say, if you say that, oh, I know, I can define God, then you're already wrong. Because Hashem is infinite, right? You can't. So when he says that man is created in the image of God, basically means to say the same way that you don't really know God, you don't really know another person. And as a Jew, as a Jew, we believe that man is created in the image of God. That means to say that you don't really know. You see some lowly character, right? He's I don't know, a gangster, a bank robber, whatever it is. If you think that this person no longer has the potential to bring the redemption, then you're mistaken. Because you think that you don't know the depths of a Jewish soul. Okay? The Jewish soul has tremendous potential. Okay? And every one of us is created in the image of God, and every one of us has tremendous potential. The problem is that we don't really get in touch with it. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody is, how come the Lubavitcher Rebbe didn't bring Mashiach, and so on and so on. Okay, good questions. I don't know the answers to those questions. You understand? He once said if you would have 10 Chassidim who really wanted Mashiach would be here already. Problem is that one problem is how much do we want Mashiach? Okay, that's why, even just to work on that and to develop a strong faith in really wanting Mashiach, and I remember once, like somebody said, in the middle of a Stanley Cup game, you guys will know what that is, like it's the hockey finals, right? I said to a group of people, what would you do if Mashiach would be coming? Like, the game is tied and there's 2 minutes left in the game and Mashiach arrives. Like some people said, you couldn't wait two more minutes. Yeah. But people's ideas of like, of what we want with Mashiach and so on is, sometimes we have childish understandings of it, but it's actually pretty sophisticated. It's not easy to understand because we're of this world. We're living in this world all the time, but whatever understanding the person has of Mashiach, the Jew is obligated to believe that Mashiach can come any minute, and that it's up to us to bring him, hopefully, and that we have to believe that every Yid is capable of doing this. So, and he supports this statement. Let's see the next paragraph, the next section. כשקוראים ברמב"ם איך הוא מתאר את ביאת המשיח, when we read the Rambam, the way he describes the coming of Mashiach, מבינים משהו עצום, we understand something awesome. אם נראה לי שאני מאמין בביאת המשיח, if I think that I believe in the coming of Mashiach, אבל כששואלים אותי איך הוא יגיע, but if they ask me how is he going to get here, אין לי מושג מה לענות, and I have no idea of what answer to give. It's okay, somebody's there. Thank you. אין לי מושג מה לענות, and I have no idea of how to answer. פירוש הדבר, that means to say שאינני מאמין באמת בביאת המשיח. That means that I don't completely believe in the coming of Mashiach. Why? כי לפי הרמב"ם, because according to Maimonides, להאמין בביאת המשיח פירושו להאמין, that means to believe שלעם ישראל יש את הכוח להביא אותו. We have to believe that the people of Israel have the potential, have the capability of bringing Mashiach. להאמין במשיח פירושו להאמין בקדושת עם ישראל. To believe in Mashiach means that you believe in the holiness of the Jewish people. כך יגיע המשיח. That's how Mashiach is going to arrive. So, this is, it might sound a little bit simplistic, but it's all very, very deep. You understand that this is a struggle that we have every day in our lives. You ever hear the expression, "Bis gur nish wert"? You're not worth anything, right? And I mean, how many times did we hear that when we grew up? A lot, right? We heard that in our education, whether in Yiddish or whether in English or whether in French. You speak French?
Yeah.
No? Okay, why not? Okay? How many times were we ridiculed by our teachers, by parents, and so on, like, oh, you're not worth anything, you're not worth anything. And we grew up thinking, if you achieve this and this, then you're worth something, right? But if you don't achieve that, then you're not worth anything. So, and then on top of that, every time that we make a mistake, every time that we do an avera, every time we do a transgression, so the Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer Hara zooms in and says, yeah, you really aren't worth anything. You really aren't worth anything, right? And we lose our self-esteem. The biggest, deepest friendship is when you have a friend who doesn't let you lose your self-esteem. So and that was Noach's problem. Why didn't he pray to save the world? Because he didn't have that self-esteem. He didn't know how much he didn't believe that God believes in him.
But didn't God tell him to build the table?
Yeah, he built the ark. He believed in God. But he didn't believe that he has the ability to actually make a change in the world. Now, let's not underplay or undervalue what he did in building the ark, because he spent 120 years doing it. You can imagine schools bringing their kids on field trips to watch this man building an ark, and people coming for 120 years. What are you doing? Well, I'm building an ark. There's going to be a flood. And the whole world saying this man is crazy, this man is crazy. Like, like he really believes there's going to be a flood, ha 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 ha. So whatever he did do, obviously took tremendous mesirus nefesh. It took tremendous devotion for him to do that. But that's one level of devotion. Like God told you to do something, you're doing what God told you to do. But to believe that you have the ability to actually help people change and do tshuva, this is a whole other level of belief.
Did you say he had inferiority complex?
No, I wouldn't say because I don't know. I'd ask his mother. No, I'm sorry.
I found out this week, last week, what his mother's name was, Nama.
Nama, right? It's in
wife.
It's in last week's Parshat.
His wife, no?
She was
his wife.
She was a descendant
His
of
wife.
Kayan.
Yeah. His wife, not his mother. His wife. Yes.
So we have in the Aleinu prayer, Tikkun Olam,
Right.
that we have this prayer that the world will be healed, corrected, made better, and we're supposed to be part of that.
We not only part of that, that's our job.
It seems to me that what you're teaching here is that it's a mitzvah for Jews to have chutzpah. There's such an expression as Jewish chutzpah. It seems to me that chutzpah is necessary.
Without chutzpah, you can't make it. It's not just outside chutzpah as far as yourself is concerned. You understand? Reb Nachman speaks about holy chutzpah. You have to have you get up in the morning and you start and you're going to say, I'm going to daven, and you know that just yesterday you did terrible things. It's a chutzpah that you think that God is going to listen to you now, but you have to have holy chutzpah, right? It's a chutzpah to think that kick a stipzach. You heard that one too, huh? And I know this guy's background because I went to several schools.
Only
That's given a Rebbe in Montreal that came to visit in Montreal. This Rebbe, he was having his tish there in square. And it's a shachris at the kiddush after davening. So the people already left, and he was sitting there with the dayan and talking and so on. So I wanted to hear. So I went up and I was wearing my rainbow talis and this and that, with my Parshat talis, and I hear him say, anyway, you have to have holy chutzpah. You have to have, so as far as, especially as far as yourself is concerned, because those messages of I'm finished, I messed up, and because the fact is that in the world that we live in, you break a glass. How are you going to fix the glass? You're going to start gluing 1,000 pieces together, right? Besides melting it down and making a new glass. But you're not going to restore that glass. You're not going to make it better than it ever was, right? So it takes chutzpah to believe in that. Now, and that's really, really, really important. See, there's a Mishnah, and you think that this is what we just learned, you think that this is Chassidus. This is an actual, clear Mishnah. In Sanhedrin, you learn Sanhedrin? You learn the Mishnah where how the judges would give this whole speech to somebody who was about to testify in a case of capital punishment. And they go and they give him this whole speech because they wanted to make sure that the person, the witness, understood the full severity of his testimony, right? That based on your testimony, somebody might be executed, right? So there was a whole speech in Masechet Sanhedrin. If you stand up, Shai, there's a brown set of Mishnayot on the top shelf.
Here?
Yeah, look for Sanhedrin. It should be no on the top shelf, a brown one. Yeah. It should say Nezikin on top first. No, go left. Look for Nezikin, and under Nezikin, look for Sanhedrin.
I found it.
Okay. Okay. So there's a whole speech over here And
The Nachman uses that expression. It's called chutzpah.
yes.
No. That's your alliteration. Alliteration. Chutzpah. H.
There's a whole shir on that. He spent a couple of days on that. I've been learning cook all the tradition.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a chapter. Okay, yeah, here it is. It's in chapter 4, the 5th Mishnah. So, Keitzad ma'amin et ha'edim al edei nefashot. How would the court put the fear of God into the witnesses when they were about to testify in a case where somebody might be executed? They would bring them into a darkened room, and they would really work on scaring them. They would say like this, Shema tamarume omed umishmua, in case you're thinking of giving testimony based on some kind of estimation, or because you heard something, or aid me p.2, or you heard another witness say something, and you're going to just repeat their testimony. Or even if you're going to tell us, oh, I heard this from a most trustworthy person. Maybe you don't realize that we're really going to cross-examine you very, very carefully, and if we find that you're a zomem, you're going to get the punishment that this person would have gotten otherwise. So that's for the first thing. That was the first stage. And then they would say to him, money matters are not the same as capital punishment matters. In money matters, a person, let's say, ended up with money that doesn't belong to him, he can fix it by giving back the money, and he'll be forgiven. But in the case of the capital punishments, Damo v'dam zariyotav tluyin bo ad sof ha'olam, is the blood of this person and the blood of all this person's future generations, descendants, until the end of the world, are dependent on this one individual. Shikein matzinu b'Kayin sharag et achiv, we find in last week's Parshat that when Kayin killed his brother, Shenemar, it says, God says to Kayin, D'mei achicha tzoakim, the bloods of your brother are crying, are screaming. It doesn't say the blood of your brother, the bloods of your brother, meaning to say damo, his blood is screaming for justice, and v'dam zariyotav, and the blood of all his descendants that you have now wiped out from the world. Then he goes on and he says, Lefichach Livra, the Mishnah gives another answer to that point, but skipping that for now. And then they go on and they tell the witness, Lefichach Livra Adam Yachidi, therefore you should know, why was man created as a single being? Right? When God created trees, he created forests all at once. When God created elephants, there were herds of elephants, etc., and so on with all other creatures. But with man, Hashem created one person to begin with. Why? So Ma'aleh Allah Shekol HaMa'abed Nefesh Achat Lamdach, to teach you that anyone who causes the death of a single Jew, Scripture considers it as if he wiped out an entire world. And if you save a single Jew, the Scripture considers it as if he saved or sustained an entire world. Another reason that Adam was created as a single individual was for the sake of peace among people. So that no person should say to another person, that my father, my ancestors were greater than your ancestors. And also so that the apikorsim, that the non-believers should not be able to say that that there are many powers, there are many gods in heaven, and that each one created different people. Another thing that this teaches us is the greatness of the Holy One, blessed be He. A man, when he's minting coins, he makes the form, and with that one form, he makes many, many coins, right? And they're all similar to each other. Whereas the King of all kings of kings, the Holy One, blessed be He, every human being is in the image of Adam, the first man. And no two people are exactly alike. Yeah, we all have noses, we all have ears, we all have eyes, mouth, etc. Right? And how many billions of people are there in the world? 7, 8 billion people in the world. You're not going to find any two that are exactly alike. Right? So therefore, what's the point? And this is the point that I wanted to come to. Therefore, every individual is obligated to say. Every individual is obligated to say, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for my sake. It means that every breath of life that you're taking means that Hashem believes that your existence is worthy in His eyes. And not only that, but the whole world is worthy because of your existence. Now, sounds egotistical, right? Like if every one of us would say right now, the world was created for my sake, the world is created for my sake. So it's not really egotistical. It is, but it's not. It doesn't mean that it was created only for my sake. In other words, I have to believe that it was created for my sake. You have to believe it was created for your sake, right? And we all have to believe that, yeah, it was created for my sake, and it was created for your sake. But the point is that a person has to have that self-esteem. A person has to know that, yes, my existence is worthy in Hashem's eyes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, right? So all those people who told you in your life, you're not worth anything, you're never going to amount to anything, and so on, baloney. Literally baloney. Maybe I'm not doing as much as I should be doing. Maybe, we're not going to get into any personal lashon hara now, but maybe I haven't achieved what I'm supposed to achieve yet. But to say that I'm not worthy, God doesn't think so. You want to argue with God? God is giving you a breath. Kol haneshama tahalel ya hallelujah. The last verse of Tehillim. So the Medrash says that every soul should praise God, praise this Hashem. The Medrash says, Al kol neshima v'neshima, for every breath, praise God. Because at every breath, Hashem is breathing life into you and saying, you are worthy. And it's really important that a person, if necessary, you can walk around. I don't care if they're going to arrest you for thinking that you're crazy in the street, for saying, I am worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. But if you have to do that to convince yourself that you're worthy, then do it. You know, that what you do makes a difference. And that's what the problem was with Noach. Okay, so he believed that his existence was worthy, but he didn't have the faith that Hashem is giving him the opportunity to actually change the world. He saved mankind, right? Mankind was saved through Noach. All the animals in the world were saved thanks to Noach also, right? But the fact that Hashem gave him the opportunity to save everybody, to be saved, he should have realized, wait a minute, I should be praying to save everybody else as well. Okay? So this is the point that is being made over here. You have a chavrusa. The two of you. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that you become chavrusas in this.
As you correctly told me, I'm not dozing, I'm meditating.
Thank you.
I told you that Reb Shlomo wouldn't, when somebody fell asleep when he was teaching, he wouldn't allow us to wake the person up. He would say that apparently his neshama wants to hear what's being learned and it doesn't want any interference. It tells the body, take a nap. I want to hear this without your foreign thoughts.
It's a wonderful excuse to use.
When somebody else makes it for you. It's good. Okay, so and the Meforshim also say that why Noach was so great that all of the world was saved thanks to him, right? So why wasn't he the first Jew? Why didn't Hashem?
He wasn't Mesiris Nefesh.
Believe me, 120 years of building an ark when everybody's bringing tourists to see how crazy you are. That's Mesiris Nefesh.
Moshe Rabbeinu was.
Moshe Rabbeinu, but what about Abraham Avinu?
Excuse me, Abraham Avinu was his name Yeshua Sadim.
In what way?
He had a tent opening up for.
So good, it's good, but Noach was such a big tzaddik that the world was saved because of him. I mean, this is obviously no little league. He's not a little league player, He's big time. So the Meforshim said because he didn't argue with God. He didn't. Avraham Avinu, when Hashem said he's going to destroy Sodom, Avraham Avinu said, "I'm not going to let you do it so fast." Right? He stood up and he cared about God's creation enough that he was going to argue with God. For Hashem's sake and for the people's sake. Noach, when Hashem said he's going to destroy the world, so Noach said, yeah, I understand. Not that he said that, but you understand, but Moshe Rabbeinu was the tikkun for Noach.
Yeah.
But the Indian of having holy chutzpah and trying to save somebody, like when the Berditchever, it was his yahrzeit last Thursday, the Berditchever Rebbe defended everybody in heaven. Okay, on Yom Kippur, Shoshana, all the time, he always looked at the positive, but he didn't know that, that the guy is doing something that he shouldn't be doing, but he still found defense for him. Not only that, the greatest level is that when you see somebody doing something wrong in a certain way, if you really love that person, you need to take responsibility for what that person is doing. Okay, that's a whole other teaching. But yes.
So, מי שאינו מאמין שאפילו היהודי הכי שפל בעולם יכול להביא את הגאולה, גם הוא בבעיה קשה.
Them who b'baya kasha. Somebody who doesn't believe that. Somebody who doesn't believe it. If you don't believe that about yourself, that you can bring the redemption to the world. I'm not talking about being insane. Okay, you know there is such a thing over here called Jerusalem syndrome. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Mostly Christians.
I don't know, but people come here. They think they get so inspired and they get feeling so high, and they start believing they're the Mashiach. So the fastest treatment for that, you know what it is? To put them on a bus to Tel Aviv. And they say, you're Mashiach, start your operations in Tel Aviv. By the time they get to Tel Aviv, they're already pretty sure they're not Mashiach. But what did you want to say?
Just that you have some Jewish people who are, the biggest quote for him, who start heretical movements, who start,
Right. So it doesn't mean that everybody, but what we're talking about is to believe that they have the potential. Since people have the potential, then they can also abuse it too. You understand? It doesn't mean that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about people being insane, okay? But even it doesn't mean that you should walk around with a flag saying I'm Mashiach. You're not Mashiach. But you should believe that there could be one thing that you're going to do in your life that's going to make the big transformation. And that one thing might be the next good deed that you're going to do. That one mitzvah, that next mitzvah that you're going to do might be the mitzvah that's going to tip the scales. Right? That's how the Rambam presents it. Correct? You're familiar with that. You went to H. I'm sure you heard that Rambam. Right? You have to see the world as being half meritorious, half not meritorious. And that what you're doing now can tip the scales in the favor of the merit. And it does. But what about the rest? Then how come it hasn't changed anything so far? I'm not going to count it. Okay, in other words, there's a lot of things there's more that I don't know than I do know. But you and I, we all have to believe that every good thing that we do actually counts and is significant. Okay? And that's one of the lessons of Parshat Noach. So once years ago, when we were learning about Avraham Avinu and Sarah, so at a Parshat class, so somebody had brought a friend of hers to the class, a girl who came from a Catholic background. And after the class was over, everybody gets up and is leaving. And this girl is sitting in her chair. She's not going anywhere. So I asked her, is everything okay? She said, yes. So she says, am I allowed to ask a question? It was the only time I ever heard anybody say to me, am I allowed to ask a question?
Yeah, it's not allowed to ask questions.
So I said, yes, of course you're allowed to ask questions. So she says, what kind of religion is this? So I said, what do you mean? She says, you argue with God? Like we were talking about Avraham Avinu, right? Arguing with God. You argue with God, right? I don't remember exactly what I told her, but what did I tell her? Anyway, but now you understand why we have so much chutzpah. We even argue with God. Yes?
I remember when I was in elementary school in New York City, they had something called religious instruction once a week. They closed down the schools for an hour, and people could go to religious instruction of the religion of choice. So the school was about 85% Catholic, and some nuns were from, and 85% of the school marched nice orderly to the local parochial school, and they would learn the catechism. And then a few Jews would go, not to organized, and go to the local shul. Now, sometimes I would ask my Catholic friends the next day, what did you know? They learned catechism by heart.
Yeah.
They would learn by rote. They learned the answers. What did we learn? We had questions.
We learned
We
the
came with questions, and we came back with more questions. They had answers, we had questions.
Good point.
There was a Ma'aseh Shahaya where a boy went to a Jewish school and he didn't behave well, so they threw him out.
Okay.
So the parents sent him to another Jewish school. And finally, there's no Jewish school left. So they sent him to a Catholic school. He was a perfect student there. So it was nice. A Jewish school not, and then the Catholic. He says, when I came in, I took a look at the sky on the cross, and I knew that they meant business. That's amazing.
Okay, weiter.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You don't have a job? You have a Yeah.
So how, this is something that I struggle with. How
You should first ask, am I allowed to ask questions?
No.
No.
How do we know?
Good answer.
How do we know when to argue and when not to argue?
Oh, that's a good question. Very good question. Let's make the question even a little bit better. When Hashem says to Abraham, take your son Yitzchak and bring him as a sacrifice, he doesn't argue, right? And Yitzchak is a righteous person, so tzaddik. And when it comes to Sodom and Amorah, God says, I'm going to wipe out this evil city, right? And Abraham argues, right? So how did he know here he can argue and here he can't argue, right? So the thing is like this. When it comes to your own self, don't argue. In other words, you can't argue to God, I deserve better, I this better, you're not treating me well enough, and so on, because if you're going to get into an argument with God, there's a story with the Chozeh of Lublin. You heard of the Chozeh of Lublin, one of the early Hasidic masters. They called him the Chozeh, the visionary.
Seer. I think in English it's called a seer.
Who decided?
S-E-E-R. So I've seen
I know, but who decided? And I can't call him a visionary?
You can call him visionary,
Okay,
but
good.
you
Thank
might
you.
have heard of the seer. But
Yeah, sounds great. So there was a chassid of his that had been a very wealthy man, and he paid for like all the big Shabbos meals and everything and so on, and then unfortunately the wheel of fortune turned, and he lost all his money. And when he was a rich man, whenever he would come to Lublin, he was given tremendous respect, and he was, Brummel, he sat up at the front, etc., etc. And now that he wasn't, he wasn't wealthy anymore. He didn't have the same respect in the eyes of the people. Anyway, so he stopped going to the Rebbe, and he ended up becoming a porter. Like a porter, like in the shuk, you got these people who carry stuff around and so on, and he would just carry people's, shopping or whatever for them, and like he was dressed in rags and so on, and nobody paid attention to him. One day, the local priest is walking by, and he looks at him, and he says, "Aren't you?" Bremmel, you used to be like the big rich man of this town and so on. And he's ashamed to answer, but yeah, he says, yes, it's me. And the priest, starts to console him, and he cries with him a little bit. And he invites him, why don't you come over to my house for a cup of tea, He said, no. But it really started to bother him, all my Jewish friends seem to have turned their backs on me. And here's the priest is the one who's showing me some compassion. Then he tells his wife about it, and she says, don't even think about it, But the priest came back the next day and the next day, and So he decided he's going to go and have a cup of tea. He was a learned man, and the priest engaged him in a conversation. And the priest was very impressed with his knowledge. And he said, "Oh, please come back the next day." And he started to feel better. Somebody's appreciating him. Somebody's appreciating his knowledge, and he's having a normal conversation with him. So he went back the next day, and eventually he kept going more frequently. And the priest said, "I'd like to invite some of my fellow clergy, because you're such an intelligent man. I want them to also have an opportunity to learn from you. I'm learning so much from you." So they came, and they really started feeding his ego. One day they make him an offer. He said to him, "We know that you were a very wealthy man. If you'll convert to Christianity, we'll return all the money that you've lost." This really shook him up. He goes home and he tells his wife, "What should I do?" She says, "You're out of your mind. You're not going to give up being a Jew." Anyway, she sees that he's hesitating, and which, by the way, what was the Hebrew word we learned for hesitating? Hisus. Notice the similarity between the words. Hisus, hesitating. Okay.
Similarity between that and someone else? In the name of somebody?
No.
In Spanish?
That I don't know, but
Sus is a horse.
Hisus, not Sus. So cute. Anyway, she says, "You have a Rebbe, and all your life you trusted your Rebbe, and now you need him more than ever. So go see your Rebbe." So she pretty much made it very clear to him she's not going to accept him making any decision unless he goes to see the Rebbe. So he comes to the Rebbe. The Chayze was a visionary. He saw everything. So he says to him, "So you have arguments, you have complaints against God?" He said, "Yes." So he says, "Well, we have the Torah. You have arguments against God? Take God to Din Torah. Take God to trial." He says, "I can do that?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Okay." The Chayze said, "Okay, fine. In 3 days, we're going to have a Din Torah. We're going to have a trial. Get yourself ready." And the Chayze went ahead and appointed 3 of the elder Hasidim that they were going to be the judges. Told them to get themselves ready. Came the time of the trial, and this Rebbe Bremel was going to present his arguments, and the Chayze said that he'll be God's lawyer. And since God has to be present, so obviously Hashem is present. And what he did was he put a talus over a chair, and he says, "This is representing the presence of the Shekhinah." And this Bremel starts off telling the story of how much tzedakah he gave and how much he did and this and that and so on. And look at what's happened to me now. I'm down in poverty. Finishes his arguments, and the Chayze walks up to him, passes his hand over his face, and all of a sudden he gets a memory of some really terrible thing that he did. But he says, "Nevertheless, I did so much good," and And again, the Chayze passes his hand over his face, and he's reminded of another terrible, terrible thing that he did. And so too a third time. And then he stopped presenting any more arguments. And the judges deliberated, and they said, God is not guilty, but for the sake of the Sisa HaYosher v'HaToiv, for the sake of doing not only that which is right, but also that which is good, And since this Dremel is suffering so much, we order God to return his wealth to him. And we're giving God 30 days to do it. So he goes back home, he tells his wife of the decision, and she says, well, I hope you're going to wait 30 days. He agreed to wait 30 days. And he goes back to being a porter. And after a week, he maybe still has a little bit of hope. After 2 weeks, he has much less. By the 4th week, he's pretty much like, he's sort of just waiting for the 30 days to be over. And finally, on the 30th day, this Cossack rides by on his horse, stops in front of him. He says, you're a Dremel? He says, yes. And he throws him a package, and he takes off. And all his money was there in that package. Okay, that's the story. Understand? The point is, you asked, how do you know when you can argue, when you can't argue, right? So when it comes to Avram and Yitzchak, Hashem is telling him something personal, right? So what's he going to argue? How can you be doing this to me? I have to be ready to accept, and not just accept, I have to have faith that whatever Hashem is doing for me is all for the good. When it comes to somebody else, don't be religious on their back. If you hear that somebody else is suffering, don't go and tell them, oh, it's all, here you're back. Don't go and tell them, thanks for coming. Don't go and tell them it's all for the good. And see, you can do something to help them, help them. You can defend them before God, defend them before God. Understand? But for your own self, right? Hashem doesn't need us to be his lawyer. Hashem wants us to be each other's lawyer. And that's what Hashem wants. And when it comes to your own self, daven, ask for everything good, pray for health, pray for parnasa, etc., etc. And then end up your prayer saying, I want all these things because I want to be able to serve you in the best way that I can. Okay?
Didn't Moshe Rabbeinu argue with God at this time?
For the Jews. Oh, because he wanted Hashem, the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says there that Moshe Rabbeinu's argument was because he knew that this was not going to be the ultimate redemption. And he wanted the ultimate redemption. Okay. So Namish, we should be blessed to believe, and if you forget it, ask, I hope you have a friend who's going to remind you that it's all Hashem, that Hashem cares about everything that we're doing, and that what we're doing is significant, and that Hashem has a lot more faith in each one of us than you would ever imagine. Mr. Hashem, we continue tomorrow.
If I would have known this 30, 35 years ago, life would have been a lot different.
I guess it was the way it was supposed to be, right?
Well, I can't argue about it now.